Jesus, man, what do you want?
Aditi, what are you doing here?
Hey, hi guys. I am actually getting ready to meet some fantastic actresses for the Roundtable second episode. We're just gonna go discuss something about their roles, some fantastic over 16 plays this year, and we're gonna discuss everything theatre. So stay tuned and enjoy this episode.
Aditi, who are the actresses?
Oh man, the actresses are
Carine Bouery, a veteran actress of The Junction. This season, she acted in Behanding in Spokane and was one of the 2 lead actresses in Dinner with Friends. Next, we have Lydia Medieros. This season, she had an extremely successful run at Short and Sweet 2020 by not only reaching the finals but also winning the festival. Next, Apoorva Mehra. She was a part of 4 productions this season by Cerise, Chuhal Natya Sandhya and Haste Reh Jaoge. Next, Priyanka Johri. She was one of the 2 lead actresses of the very successful production Dinner with Friends. Next, Svetlanna K Meshra played an unconventional role in Chidi Ki Dukki.
Aditi, what are you going to ask them?
Oh, just watch the episode, man. So ladies, this is fantastic. Yes, some sincere roles, some fantastic roles this season. It's very humanized content, very layered, complex emotions that we saw on the stage this year. So let's just get started, right? And I will just throw the question to you, and as you feel, reply. What is the one scene or moment in your scripts of this season that you've chosen that represent the reason why you chose that particular script?
Good. I'm presuming we can speak about Short and Sweet as well.
Yes, of course.
I'm not sure how many of us here saw the performance, but it was a transgender that I played. A transgender straight from the streets of Mumbai. Mumbai being my hometown, I go back very often. And one of those trips, I noticed a transgender on the streets begging for basic livelihood. And the way we treat them, the way we shun them, like, please don't touch us. That's something that just stayed with me. I think that character, the transgender character, just stayed with me for a very, very long time. It hurt me. And then I started reading about transgenders in particular, and that's when I got to know that one of the most famous personalities of India is a transgender herself. And she represents India in the United Nations. That really kicked me, and I said, we got to do this. We have to do this. It has to be represented. It has to be acted out. And I think that was the inception of that role.
So that's where
Yeah.
you viewed something and that touched you,
Yes.
and that's how that role
For
came
sure.
about for you.
Yeah.
So did you have to look for a script, or did you?
We had a structure in mind. I approached Dr. Milind, who was my director, and he penned it down. We had various rounds of discussions, research, how the transgenders look, how they walk, how they talk, what they feel. He put me on to a lot of transgenders. I spoke to a lot of them back home. With whatever little research we could manage in that time, we presented something on stage.
It's fantastic. Lydia?
Yeah, I think that's amazing. I think that's what theater is about for me. It's about the stories, the human stories. It's about holding up a mirror to our society, and we get that privilege to live those characters and tell those stories. And the one script I was able to choose was Raw, the one I directed. And I chose it. I mean, we had gotten like 100 plays to read through, and basically I was looking, I wasn't looking for a winning play. I was looking for a play that would move me. And when I read Raw and got to the end, I was in tears. And I said, that's it. And I wrote Sabiha. I didn't even finish reading the rest of the plays. I was like, I want this play. I don't want another play. I'm not giving you a second option. Please tell me that I can have this play. And thankfully, I wrote her fast enough that I got it. But it was about domestic violence. And I think domestic violence is a topic that it is addressed, but it is not addressed as much as I think it should be. I think it happens so in sinister ways in families that are not seen, and we hear about sure the stories where there's violent, domestic violence and beatings and killings, but we don't hear about those small injustices, the verbal abuse, the control, the contempt, the emotional abuse, and these are things that cannot be proved, but they are deep and they happen to people, and that was a story I wanted to tell. For me, that spoke to me that the child was the one that got the brunt of, and in any story of domestic violence, the child is the one that is hurt the most, the innocent is the one, and then the child is the one that takes the blame. I mean, he says at the end of the play, "I'm so sorry, Mommy, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm eating the tomatoes, I'm so sorry," because he takes the blame. And we were very clear, like, this play is for the man sitting in the audience who maybe doesn't realize he's doing this to his wife and kid. This story is for the woman sitting in the audience who can see, oh wait, this is happening to me and I'm allowing this to happen to my child. And this story is for the child sitting in the audience who can finally say, it wasn't my fault. And that is why I chose that play.
I love that.
Brilliant.
I remember
And the
it
thing
very
about
well.
that particular play was it was really subtle. You don't expect it, and that was the whole point. And I think that's the whole point of the script you chose. It was the subtlety of it.
Yeah.
Right? That was where you resonated. What about you, Carine? Why did you choose the script you did?
You know, I wish I had more depth like you guys when it comes to choosing scripts. For me, see, I'm the kind of person who loves to try different things. I believe we are here on this planet to discover ourselves. And we shouldn't pigeonhole ourselves, categorize ourselves, label ourselves as whatever. And hence the reason why my biography was quite long.
It was great. I mean, I liked it. I did like it.
So I wear so many hats, and I test myself. I test the limits of each role I play in real life and on stage.
Svetlanna, what about you?
I feel it's not just one particular scene with which you choose a script. It's the entire script, the journey of any character from the very beginning till the end. The graph that gets made in the script, that's something that pulls you, and the various emotions. So for me, it's like it's better to read and understand the entire script first. Then only you can choose the play, whether you want to go ahead or you don't want to go ahead. You see yourself, where are you actually going ahead with the script. So for me, that is very important.
So it's if you can imagine yourself as the person
Yes.
and build that narrative,
Correct.
that's when you can choose your script. That's pretty fantastic. What about you, Priyanka? Interesting.
Well, for me, it's the script and the director. Like, I've always thought an actor is as good as the director. The director can bring out things that you can never even imagine.
True.
The two scripts I've worked with for this season have been Dinner with Friends, where I acted, and then JLT, where I directed. And JLT was an absolutely fantastic experience. Asad wrote it, Asad Raza Khan. We've all worked with him at some point. So he wrote.
No. You will not decide. No.
It was a locally written script, and he came to me, and I loved the fact that it was a workshop script. We sat together and we fleshed out each character, and the character developments that happened just between us, between the writer and the director, and then of course actors bring on their own development when they come on board. So that was a great experience. Like, it was about portraying a bunch of people who lived in JLT in Dubai. So it was relatable to every audience member. It was an all-in-out comedy, but people really appreciated it. It was something they had not seen before. In fact, we did a rerun as well. So it was received very well, and we're very thankful of that. In Dinner with Friends, I read the script, and I remember I just fell in love with the script. It's such a powerful script, such a strong script. And for me, I portrayed Karen, and to portray somebody who is complex and who herself is portraying to be perfect in every way, when from inside she's a little broken. It's as a character, that was a big challenge for me, and I loved doing it. To explore the roles that she brought on, whether it was having the perfect family, having the perfect children, having the perfect friends, and to see it all crumble on stage and how she went through it. That for me was it. I was like, I have to be a part of it, and luckily I got to be. So that was one of the roles, I think one of the most difficult roles I've done.
I love that play. It was one of my favorites for the last year. It was a fantastic play. If you think of even just the way the chemistry was built amongst you guys, and the chemistry was not built explicitly, right? Even your crumblings and everything were very well shown, and you guys did a fantastic job with it, I must say.
Thank you.
What I do want to know, you guys have read a lot of scripts across the board, right? When you do see characters, when you do see how a narrative is built or how everything is written out. Do you think female roles in scripts are not well fleshed out enough?
Not at all. They are super fleshed.
Super fleshed?
Super fleshed.
Okay.
I think so.
What do you
I think so.
What do you think of that?
3 years in theatre in Dubai, I don't remember a single play where the females have, rather the female characters have not been etched or been ignored or shoved at the back seat. Not at all. I think we see a lot of female-oriented plays here, directed by one of the best female directors in Dubai. Female actresses. I think we are outnumbering the male actresses. Actors, yeah.
Even Short and Sweet this year was amazing.
It was.
Absolutely.
It was.
The amount of women, like play-centric around women was great.
The names. So do you think in Dubai we have enough gender fluidity and diverse scripts in that sense? Where, if for example, I will give you a very good example. And then there were none had 11 to 12 actors, roles to play. 9 were men.
Right.
And it wasn't needed that they all needed to be men in theatre, because theatre is a place, because last week if you spoke to Mahuaji, she did mention that in where she comes from, in India, gender fluidity is a thing. Men play women, women play men. It's just, you're playing a character, not a person.
I was just about to mention the play that they did, Yaar Jala Hai.
Yeah.
If you notice, there were 10, 15 characters and just one male. And all the male characters were portrayed by females.
Yeah.
Wow.
Similar play we had done, The Odd Couple.
Yeah.
It was a men's version, but
Male times,
we all
but we did the
females
females
did it.
version.
So it was totally converted.
Yeah.
Which
I
was-
did I did a lot of that in school and university. So I played men's roles as well and danced even men's dances. So
Dance.
yeah, I'm really good at dancing for men. Yeah,
I
men's.
think we still have a long way to go. In terms of
Yeah,
gender fluidity.
I think so. Here in Dubai,
Lots
yes.
to experiment
I think it just needs to start, honestly. It just starts with one play. You know, like I would love to see, I think there was 12 Angry Jurors, which became 12 Angry Men here.
Yes.
But it's been done as 12 Angry Women as well. So that would be really nice.
Wow.
So I think it just needs to start with a play.
I think exactly what you said. You just brought up the Black Lives Matter movement. I don't know if we're allowed to talk about it,
You
but
can,
I'll talk
you
about it because
can,
I'm
yeah.
American. So,
And not a dumb blonde,
but
right?
not a dumb
blonde,
I do
come
an
on.
appropriate comment.
Oh gosh, don't worry, I'm not offended.
love you.
So, but what I mean is like, the time is now. The time is to say, look, there should be equality among the races. There should be equality, and there isn't. And so it's not enough to be, I'm a non-racist. It's you got to be anti-racist. You have to be anti, chauvinism. We're going to change the way things are done because it needs to be changed. And I love the idea of what you guys are saying about India. I know nothing about Indian theater, sorry.
Yeah,
But like about the gender fluidity. I mean, you see that a lot with Shakespeare, who's like my
Yes,
favorite
correct.
writer
Yeah,
ever.
for sure.
And you see like Shakespeare in the Park in New York did an all-female version of The Taming of the Shrew, and everyone was like, I don't hate this play anymore. It's amazing. And
Interesting.
my
Even Hamlet for that
even
matter.
Hamlet. Even Hamlet. My director in college, he did Julius Caesar, and he basically was like, I don't care what gender you are, how old you are, what race you are, I'm gonna cast you for the character that fits you.
Yes.
And I played Brutus, because I'm a brute. And, and my wife was my dear darling friend Chad. And he was a
nice.
beautiful, beautiful Portia. And Julius Caesar was played by a female, a teeny tiny Spitfire black female, who is still one of my dear friends to this day. And like, the play that happened became about the heart, and about the soul of the characters, as opposed to
The sex of the
way they
character.
look.
The way they look.
Exactly.
That's actually fantastic. 'Cause, the only commercial play I've seen with anything like that is Andrew Scott's version of Hamlet, when he played Hamlet.
Yeah.
Guildenstern or Rosencrantz, one of them was played by a black woman. And I thought that was great because it had nothing to do
Yes.
with the character itself.
Yes.
She's just a person who was his friend.
The version of Hamlet that was played in London,
Right.
Rosencrantz was an Indian lady.
Oh,
and
wow.
She was deaf and dumb.
Wow, that's fantastic.
I'm forgetting her name, but she was awesome.
Yeah, these are places that we can definitely explore, even in our little version of, even our theatre groups, right? It's just, I think there is a lot to explore, like you said, Apoorva, there's a lot of experimentation to do. So, where do you go for that? who takes that action?
We do. It's on us.
As actors?
It's on us as actors, as directors. It's on the Junction. It's like, what are the plays? It's on the audience. What plays do they want to see?
Yeah.
You know, because you can't do theater without an audience. You need the audience. That's what the theater is for. It's for the audience. So it's on every single one of us to say, that's like why the Black Lives Movement is happening, is people are like, no, it's on us. Now we're taking action. And it's on us to say, no, these are the plays I want to see. I want to see female directors, I want to see gender fluid characters, I want to see the right person in the right role, and I don't want to see models selling me razors anymore. I want to see a good actor.
The audience here don't get that. I don't feel they understand theater this way.
But you know, now, like how they are right now, is such a huge development from like back say in 2010 when I started. We could barely have like draw audiences to come and watch theater. They used to watch touring productions, you know, like Broadway touring productions. Nobody really watched community theater. Because they had an image about community theater. They're like, oh, it's amateur. Oh, we won't, you know, I don't know what impression they had. But when we started doing plays, and in the beginning there were just maybe 2-3 theater groups, right? Yeah. And when we started putting up plays, we couldn't even fill this theater up. So, you know, that's why it started with classic scripts, and it started with well-known scripts, and we stuck to the way scripts were to draw the crowd. And then once, I think now we've reached a point that enough people love theater, and arts and culture in Dubai is huge now. I mean, back to where it started, it's growing. It's still very much growing. But like Lydia said, I think now is the time that we can actually
take it a step forward.
Take it a step forward, because we have the audience a lot more than we did before.
And these days the audience is so smart and they are so understanding. They want to accept new things.
Yes,
they want to say what you can show and we'll take it in. So they are very smart now.
Absolutely.
So for that, do we have to move away from non-original scripts, or do we have to build more contemporary?
I think we take classic scripts and we make the classic scripts stand up to modern times, and see if the story still stands up. And I think we'll find that they do.
The Little Women.
Little Women. That
is age as well.
Streetcar Named Desire.
Yes.
You don't have to set that in the time period that it was written. You can set it today. You know,
it's a human condition.
It's a human condition. It's about the heart. Any Shakespeare play. Don't get me started. And then, of course, the plays you were talking about, like the ones about the JLT people living. So we need to write plays. Like that's why I love Labyrinth, is because they write plays about New Yorkers, and they live in New York. And so when you go to see that play, you're like, oh, that's my neighbor. That's me. That's Joe. That's whoever. Right. So we need that here in Dubai. We need people to come and be like, yeah, that's us. Now it's written down for posterity, for humanity, for years and hundreds and thousands of years to come. They can see what it was like here in Dubai.
Even big plays, like we've done Sherlock Holmes twice now. I'd love to see Sherlock Holmes played by like a woman.
Wouldn't you like to play it?
I would love to play it. I would love to play it. I mean, in Elementary, the TV show, Watson is a woman.
Watson is a woman,
I
yes.
love it.
When you do plays that have already been, as well established, like Hamlet or Sherlock Holmes or any of the Streetcar Named Desire, do you research the previously portrayed versions of that character? And do you take something out of that and then mix it into how you're going to represent it? Or do you do a completely new version? You do?
I do. Because I want to be different. The whole point is to pick the best qualities that I've seen in the acting that has been done for certain characters, but then how do I add my bit? How do I add Carine's spirit into this character? That has not been seen before. We all come with our uniqueness. Why not use it? So for me, I want to see what has been done. Some people don't like it, and I
can't do that. Yeah, I can't. When I'm acting, if I see something, subconsciously it'll remain there. Like I won't even realize it, but it'll be in my head, and then when I'm acting, I know it's going to affect me, so I just stay away from it. I just work on it myself, and the script progresses and nuances come in, and I love that journey. But I don't, or like with Dinner with Friends, I think it was already done.
Yeah.
And we didn't watch it. We had a debate amongst the cast.
I watched it. Of course I watched it. I did it with Marilyn as well.
I'm with you.
Yeah?
Yeah, a little bit, yes. It's very difficult sometimes to alienate yourself with what you've seen, like Priyanka said. Subconsciously it does play, but it will be great if you can keep what you've seen away and then go and do what you want to do. But I do it. I do go and refer to those characters that have been played in the past. Yeah.
I think it's interesting because I think what you said, Carine, is exactly, and everybody has their own process, and everybody's process is different. And for me personally, I'm with Priyanka. I don't look up because I know I'm going to imitate. And I'm going to take on their accent, and I'm going to take on an imitation rather than what you want, which is a deep-seated, where is Lydia in this character, and how is she transforming from Lydia into who I am playing. And for me, a lot of people have different methods. I go inside out. A lot of people go outside in, and that's fine. You do what works for you, right? Unless it's like a character that's so iconic that if you do something different, you're going to be like tarred and feathered and slaughtered and crucified. What's a classic example? The Wizard of Oz. I played the Cowardly Lion, and you cannot do the Cowardly Lion unless you do it the original version. Like if I was like, I'm going to fight you with my eyes closed, dude, they'd be like, get off the stage.
Yeah,
Go back to Wonderland and give us the Cowardly Lion.
Disneyland.
You know? Right. So it
really depends.
It really depends.
Yeah, it really depends because you can't really go in blind.
Yeah.
Because you do at the end of the day, if it's a classic, you would do at the end of the day know how it's, even if you haven't watched a full-length version of it, you know how it would have been portrayed. But at the end of the day, it comes back to
The director.
Person, yes. What exactly does he or she
vision.
want?
Absolutely, that's fair. So who do you think is the captain of the ship for production?
Director.
Across
Has to.
I think so.
Yeah. A good director is someone who will also allow freedom within form, and will be interested in collaborating and you bringing, like what you said, your character and what you've brought to the table. But a good director is also the one who's sitting in the back and can see the whole thing. You can't see the whole thing from on stage. And that's why at the end of the day, you may have a disagreement with the director about how something should be played, but you just got to go, wait a second, they're seeing the big picture and I'm seeing my picture. So, and you got to be smart. How do I stay true to who I am and yet still do what the director is saying? And I have found 100% of the time the director's always been right.
Definitely. I love directors who are open to receiving new perspectives, new angles, new ideas. But always remembering as an actor that at the end it is the director's decision. You know, you just show him what you got or show her what you got, and maybe, you never know, might inspire something else. And so I think it's very important we each bring something to the table when we're working on production. Oh, absolutely.
It's a good balance.
It's the best way, in my opinion. Even in according to stats and the science of happiness, you know, when you when you cooperate, when you collaborate, you are happier. You know, everyone is happier.
Dialogue is a must.
Yeah. And you feel valued as an actor. You feel like you're not just a piece of meat acting on stage. You know that your visions also are valuable and noticeable. So and it makes you feel good. You know, even as an actor, it makes you feel respected as an actor. And you know, but being an actor is not quite respected in this part of the world. You know, as it is.
Lydia, that give us a shock to Lydia, who just recently moved to Dubai.
What? Now you're telling me? I should have come here.
Damn it, they're all locked down.
No, I mean, I have fights with my mom every time I have an acting gig. Priyanka, you know, I had to have talks with my director and you know, like try to sort out the timings and, you know, try to be at home as much as I can and rehearse when mom's away working, you know. So she just, it's a nightmare, you know, with especially as an Arab, I guess. Even though the Lebanese community are quite active in theater, we started theater in this part of the world back hundreds of years ago, but it just lost its charm. It's just lost it, and just. Now everybody wants you to be a lawyer, engineer, and a doctor.
Svetlanna took the other route.
Yes.
And bravo, well done for that. That's so brave. That's so brave. Well done.
Has it been your experience that your feedback or your inspiration has been taken into account by the directors?
Yeah, of
Yes.
course.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, yeah. They were wonderful. All the directors I worked with.
Some kind of directors here in Dubai who give you a year to listen to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there are people, whatever I'm saying, that's what you have to do.
Yeah. It's very cut and straight otherwise. But here there is more of a collaborative
It's more of an ego. So I'm the director, do what I say. Forget it. Don't try anything else.
Right.
Simply say, here it's a different scenario.
I feel we have a good balance. Like the director does, I mean here the plays I've worked with, it's been so nice because there's been like a nice workshop where the director sits with you, you talk about the character, and they actually ask you, okay, think of a backstory. You know, they let you explore that on your own. Of course, if it's very different from what the director has envisioned, then of course he or she will pull you back. But it's really nice to have that freedom to explore in the beginning. And sometimes, from speaking from the other end as a director, sometimes the actors bring something that you would never imagine. So that's also great. The whole process, the freedom that we get here from directors is, I think it's very nice.
And that's crucial to your character development as well.
Very
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It makes you or it breaks you as a character.
And I even found that collaboration with fellow actors as well. You know, when they see you struggling with a character, they'll come in and say, but sometimes directors don't like that. So we just have to be careful.
That was spoken at length last week.
Yeah. I see. I missed it. Okay.
In fact, when we started one of our plays long back, the director did mention, you know, actors, please be actors. Don't try to turn into directors. For one play, there should be only one director. You have any concerns, talk to the director.
We've heard that.
And then we can proceed. Rather than everybody teaching every other actor, you know, you should do this, you should do that.
But I think that's also, I'm coming from my director's shoes, I think that's also a logistical and important thing to tell actors. Because if I'm on stage as an actor and my co-actor starts telling me how to act, my dukes go up. And I'm like, dude, like this isn't your character. You're playing Stanley, I'm Blanche, move over, okay, get in your own headspace. And then I'm not able to act with that actor. And then I've got a beef with that actor. And then like, if you've got beef with an actor, it just,
The whole thing crumbles.
it just crumbles.
It just crumbles.
And so I think from a practical standpoint as a director, because I said the same thing to Amit and Yassine, I was like, that's just, you got something, come to me so that it comes from me. I'm not going to discount your idea, but I want it to come from me so that you guys don't have that conflict. Exactly.
Too many cooks, you know? Like you don't want that. If you want guidance, if you want something, like I feel as an actor, you feed off the energy from your co-actors. That's very important. And but as a director, I'm like, okay, if there's anything that you want to work on, I would prefer you come to me. Because then, too many cooks. You get different feedbacks, different opinions. It messes with an actor's head as well. So in the end, director, captain of the ship.
Captain of the ship, right?
Absolutely.
So when it comes to your character development, what is the process that you're choosing? Do you become a part of the character you play? Or does the character become a part of who you are?
I think it's both ways. You're just living one life at that time, whether it's you or the character.
Right.
So I think it's both ways. It's like you live 90% of that character, but you're still living 5% of yourself.
Right.
So it's like water and sugar or sugar and water. It's the same thing.
Is that across the board?
I agree with her.
Yeah. It's always a blended process then. Both characters just match up.
For me, I sort of I find the characters that I play are a part of me already, and so I develop a kind of really weird and funny relationship with them because I see myself in them, and they're trying to teach me something. So for me, for the longest time, acting has been therapy, really. And I use my characters to help me through difficult questions I have about myself, unclarity in the world, things like that. And I always find something about a character that just unblocks me somehow in real life. So I really become intimate with my character. And after a while, I start to talk like that character, even after the performance is over. I start to, I keep the accent, I use the same words and stuff like that. But for me, it's a psychological thriller, I guess, dealing with my characters.
It stays you. It
stays in.
It does. It
More of
does.
an exploration process.
For me, it's the timing as well. Like I feel when you get a script and when you're working on the script, the character is a part of you. And I've never understood. Like I got pushed into acting, but all I remember was I was so nervous because I had stage fright. The minute I walked into stage, after 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes, I have no idea what happened. I became the character. I still can't explain it. Like I'll do a lot of rehearsals, but what I do on stage, I would not have done it as well at rehearsals. I just become the character on the days of the show. And then of course the character stays with you for life. You know?
Yeah, it just becomes a part of you.
It does become part
I
of you.
had a difficult experience. I played a role of a 60-year-old mother in a play called Sandhya Chaya.
Okay.
And we rehearsed for like 3 to 4 months. And even after the play was over, it took around 2 to 3 months for me to get out of the character. Anywhere I would go, I would behave like a 60-year-old mother, you know. And my friends would get embarrassed. What are you doing? You're not a 60-year-old anymore. And consciously you have to take that character out of you.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's very difficult.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of actors, I guess, commit suicide or get into depression or really sink into the world of the characters, right? Like especially if they're playing a dark character. I had an interview recently with also a film director, and she asked me, how is the science of happiness important for actors? I was like, it's very important because you learn practices and techniques to get out of this loneliness, to get out of anxiety, to get out of depression. And you know, there's a lot of social comparison that goes on in the acting world, right? Somebody nails a role and you don't. And you know, there's jealousy, envy. So how do you get out of that? How do you get out of that before it eats you up, you know, as an actor? But going back again to the character, for me it's more an inside-out process. I have to access a memory, a trauma, an emotion, an experience of some sorts in the past or in the present for me to link up with the character and then develop a friendship with it and then develop it itself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No matter who the character is, whether you read the script and you're like, oh crap, I don't want to play this person's a jerk, but you
pull out something from your past.
Pull out something, and you have to
There's
make
always
that
something.
jerk human. You have to find the truth of that character so that when when it benefits the play, the story that's being told. I mean, if you're sitting there as an actor like, I'm not really like this, I'm just pretending, then nobody believes the point of the story. So it falls. You have to find the truth as an actor, and that's your job. And I think that we as actors, we are willing to do what you said, to dig deep and pull those traumas out and pull that disgusting out and pull the dark and pull the funny and pull the sexy and everything that
makes it
human,
convincing.
exactly, everything human, and we pull it out and we expose it to the world. How dare anyone say that our job is not important and that our job is less than? Because that is something that not everybody does. And not everybody can do.
They deny it, actually. They're afraid of it.
Yeah.
And you know, and you want to give them that emotion. That's the whole point, is to, guys, open up. Those of you watching, open up. It's about opening your hearts, opening everything, because through openness we can start real conversations.
Right.
You know, real things, you know, real change.
Right. Yeah. Amit had a hard time during Raw in the beginning.
Really?
Getting into Sam, because he would feel so bad. He's like, I can't do this to you. I can't do this to you. I can't do this to you. He's a really nice guy. And he's too nice. He's like nothing like Sam. And he didn't, like, there's a bit where he pushes food in my face and he just could not do it. He's like, I can't, and I'm going to put the food in my face. Take your hand and smash it and grind it in my face. And Savita came to one rehearsal and she was like, show her mouth. And he's like, I can't do that. It's too much. But he had to do it because if he didn't do it, nobody would understand the point of what I was saying earlier about how the child took the blame on himself. If he wasn't that disgusting character, then nobody would feel what they felt for Yassine's character. And to be honest, there was one woman who came up to us after the semis, tears in her eyes, came up to me and she just barely got out the words, "Thank you, that was my story."
Oh, wow.
And at that moment, I went back, I wrote the script writer, I told Yassine, I told Amit, and I said, I don't care what happens, that's why we do this play. And if Amit hadn't been able to go to that place, and Yassine hadn't been able to go to that place, that girl would never have been able to say,
I'm not the one that was at fault.
Yeah. I think
That's the power of theatre.
that's the responsibility of any form of art.
Yes.
Be it theatre,
Very
be
true.
it
Yes.
music, be it whatever.
Yeah.
You know, in Hindi we say kalakar. Kalakar is an artist. It's called a kalakar because he gives akar to the kala. He gives a shape to the art.
Wow.
So if you don't do that, if you don't convince your audience with whatever, that woman wouldn't have come up to you, and I think her life would have changed after seeing your play, for all you know.
I don't know, I hope so.
So I think that's what we are here for as actors and artists.
Emotions are everything.
They transform us and they transform the world. So
Any little way, I think any little change out there, and
Yeah.
we are good.
Yeah.
So, when it comes to theatre, what genres do you prefer? And if you are comfortable in that particular genre, do you think you get typecasted in it?
I mentioned earlier, you know, when I did Dinner with Friends, oh, you do drama, you know, like because I've been only doing comedy for the last, but that's on the long form plays. I mean, in short and sweet, I've had also some acts around drama. A beautiful script I'll never forget in short and sweet is Perfect Stillness. Do you know that script?
That's a lovely script.
Oh my God, like every time we would act it, we would cry, you know, every time, you know, whether we were on stage or rehearsing. So yeah, I was just surprised by how people would be like, wait, I thought you're in comedy. You know, why? For me,
Because Behanding was a comedy.
Behanding was a comedy, Real Inspector Hound was a nutcase, you know.
Dinner with Friends was it?
Dinner with Friends was it was a very serious play, you know. So yeah, I noticed that people tend to do that, you know. And you know what? It's a brain thing, and I just discovered this recently. We just want to simplify things in our lives, and by simplifying things in our lives, we tend to group people in groups and categorize and label, you know. And then even when a part comes for something, they wouldn't think of you because, you know, Carine is comedy.
They haven't seen you that way.
Yeah, you know, it's not like, you know, I really appreciate experienced professionals in this industry who really can see right through a person. They know what the potential of the actor. And it's not just about the acting, but it's also about how you've collaborated, how you've listened, how you've used the feedback, you know, be it from the audience or the director, and not argued. You know, they love it in the acting world that you also are not, you know, you were mentioning earlier, if you're working with a bad actor, someone who's in conflict with you, you know, everything just crumbles, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it was all about really not just building a friendship, but really truly listening, taking in the criticism, being a tough guy and taking the criticism and saying, you know what, they're trying to see the best in me, they're trying to get out the best in me. You mentioned that, Priyanka, you know, so. These are the kind of professionals I really appreciate. They see
the ones that look beyond.
They look beyond but just the roles that you do.
In Apoorva's case, to be fair, you have done 5 productions this way and short and sweet just 6 in total. And in those 5, you had massive range. You played an older mother in Chuhal.
Yes.
You were
a 60-year-old mom.
Yeah.
I did a trans.
Yeah.
I did a 40-year-old in Haste Reh Jaoge. I did a 40 plus and 40 plus in Cerise. 30 plus.
No, but they're all very different characters.
Yeah, absolutely. But the problem came when they were all different genres as well. But somehow I started feeling that I was moving towards comedy. I don't know why. Maybe the demand of the character was such, or whatever I did made people laugh. Was there something wrong with how I was delivering it? Because there were lines that were not supposed to be funny, and I heard people laughing. So that was a conflict again. But having said that, the word typecasting is overrated, I think. If you want to break the mold, I could be doing comedy of 100 times, but I may still put my flavor in it. It could be comedy of various sorts.
Yeah.
So how do you say that you are typecasted as a comedian, or you can do only hilarious roles? you know. So I think the word typecasting is something we should go away from.
Yeah. We should look beyond that. We should look beyond that mold that you're thinking. Yeah. Svetlanna, in this season you did Chidi Ki Dukki, which is a Ismat Chugtai play, and you played you had an unconventional love story, and you played in that time, like I like how you said, in that time, an ugly girl, right? And you had to represent that. So how was it playing such a complicated idea or indoctrinated idea of beauty standards? You know, like you had to understand the layering and present it and keep your own biases aside. How was that process for you?
Honestly, I didn't really find it very complicated.
Right.
It was not very complicated. We just went step by step. And with the director's vision, he just made us understand what the character is. So the main thing that the character was ugly. She wasn't beautiful. As you said, in that
In her mind or physically?
No, physically. She has a very dark complexion. She's
so
ugly.
if you're dark, you're ugly.
In that time. Yes, in that time.
Talking about 1930s.
Okay.
So for her, it was like she is just what she is. But the only thing that she believed in herself, that I am beautiful. She didn't care what other people thought of her. So for me, it was not really difficult unless I put the makeup. And makeup helped me a lot. So just putting the makeup actually helped me build 50% of the character.
Right.
So it was not that difficult with the director's help and the understanding of the character. It was pretty okay.
So you could align yourself with that
Yes.
because you brought it out and the makeup, so it helps.
It's a combination.
If it was reversed, where you're beautiful, but the character was about believing that you're ugly. Is this something you can do?
Yes, I mean that's what you have to believe in.
Yeah.
If you believe,
That's actually a
people
very
will believe.
interesting question.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just reversing it, flipping it,
We should actually
it
try
over.
that something.
Yeah, that's.
I was sad. That was one of the very complicated characters that Svetlanna did, and the way she portrayed it was seamless. She herself is very beautiful, so it was very difficult for the audience to believe that Svetlanna is so beautiful. How could she be so ugly? So I think the makeup helped, but the conviction of the character that came in, and the confidence of the character. I may be ugly, but I am beautiful, and that's what the audience, I think, took from her, and that's why it was such a loved character. Because unless you believe it, they won't believe it.
It's the convincing factor you mentioned earlier.
Very yakinable. It has to be very yakinable.
Yakin means.
This is the moment where I was overdoing my makeup. Like I wanted her to look even more darker. And the director said, no, please stop it. She has to look naturally ugly, not, overdone ugly. I was like, okay, then I had to remove little bit of makeup. Okay, now this is me. So there are times where actor gets, overdoes things, where the director has to step in, control, not too much.
Yeah.
I struggle with the whole concept of beauty and ugliness. I don't see anybody ugly. I really don't. The something about when people smile, it's just you're.
But I think that's what they explored as well.
Yeah.
I think that was the point.
Social stigma.
Yeah.
I think that was what they
So
explored.
that's what we've been taught, even like when we are kids. Fair is beautiful.
Yeah.
The conservative ideology.
Yes.
Yeah.
But things are changing. Things have changed now.
Carine, you did two very different plays this season. You did Dinner with Friends, which was a drama. It had its subtleties and everything. And then you had Behanding in Spokane, which is quite explicit.
Yeah.
It was on the two different extreme versions of each other. When you have to work with such two different directors, two different visions, how do you align your vision? We have spoken about that, aligning visions, right?
Yes.
How do you align your vision to that of that director and then switch, forget all of that, and move into B?
Yeah.
Again, for me, I think what Svetlanna was mentioning earlier, it's of course reading the script, understanding the character, or getting into the character, finding that link with the character. Once I find that link, then I hear what the director has to say about that character. And with Marilyn, I struggled much more than with Beth in Dinner with Friends. Beth is more relatable. She's a real human. And
Marilyn isn't.
Marilyn, I mean, I never dealt with drugs, for example. I was never in a situation where I was running away from some kind of wrong thing that I did with my boyfriend. We stole an unattached hand from some corpse, So for me, the story was a bit strange. It was not relatable as Dinner with Friends. But I love comedy. So I know I'm good in comedy. But it's not about being good at the end of the day. It's about really making the character believable, and real, and really living the story like it's a matter of life and death,
Right.
and so
you tapped into two different things. Over there, you tapped into your love for comedy, and in Dinner with Friends, you tapped into relatability.
yes, exactly. Right. Yeah, that's very good. Perfectly. Perfect. I need not say anymore. But yeah. So I think, I think that's it. I think that's it. Yeah.
Priyanka, you started as a stage manager for Backstage a while back, right? You did 15 productions, then you assistant directed, then you directed, and now you're pretty well acclaimed in your acting field as well. When you reflect on that growth, when you reflect on your journey, how does it feel? How does it feel to be all kinds of hats and then also succeeding in all of them?
Honestly, for me, back in the day and even now, I feel that theatre, the opportunity we have here in the form of theatre, is just like a blank canvas. Why wouldn't I paint it with as many colors as I can?
Yeah.
So I started off by stage management because I thought that I'd just watched theatre all this while. I hadn't actually done anything. So I wanted to do something that was backstage, and that I wanted to learn while I was working. And I did stage management, I did production, I did makeup, I explored everything. And I think that when you're passionate about something, you learn on the job and you will be successful. Like if there's something that I didn't like, I didn't do. But honestly, in theater, there's nothing that I didn't like doing. I even assistant directed, produced. Even now, I feel like the journey that I've had, it's amazing because I've actually seen theater in Dubai evolve. I've seen, like I mentioned earlier, the audience evolve. And even actors. The actors we started with, each person you meet, each play I do, each journey I've had, each person you meet teaches you something different. Whether it's your director, whether it's your castmates, even whether it's the person on lights, sound, everybody has a role to play. And I'm still learning. The journey is not yet complete. So now I'm doing acting, but I wouldn't just stick to acting. It's on you. I don't want to go back to typecasting or anything like that. If I'm comfortable in a genre, I started off with drama. Right. And then until I broke it and I acted in Rumors, which is a comedy. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So for me, it's I want to step out of my comfort zone. I want to try everything. And we have that platform here. Once you're in any, there's no specific requirement. You're passionate about theater, you can just start. Dubai gives you that chance. So I'm very excited.
So it's that thing you said about timing then.
Yeah.
It's about what clicks when.
It's about what, exactly. And you have to explore as an actor, as a director, you have to explore every possibility. There's still so much growth that is still happening and that we can still do.
Adding to her point, it's very good if you have knowledge about all the other fields as well. Though you don't have to be master of all. But it's good because if you're on stage as an actor, if there's a light, you need to know, okay, how does the light function? So you work accordingly.
Yes.
How is the cameraman working? You need to understand the things. If you're going for an audition, you need to understand what is the casting director thinking. What is the director thinking? And how would the person take this shot? So you work accordingly.
Yeah, so it's wearing that lens, just see through that lens.
So you need to have a little bit of knowledge.
You're more respectful of the role that everybody else in the production is putting in. You know exactly how important even, running around in a production is, or just being stage manager is.
My God, yes.
Not, everything, it's like you see
it makes you more empathetic.
Yeah, of course.
The process. To the process.
Because many times what happens is actors, rather than learning their lines, they're busy taking selfies and different things. They don't focus on what they have to. And which ends up, taking one shot, which could have been done in 5 minutes, you're taking 2 hours, 3 hours. And you're actually troubling everybody.
Right.
If you do your job correctly, everything happens, falls in place.
Seamless.
seamless.
So you need to understand what troubles everybody else goes through.
Also in,
Of course.
So if you have a view on everything, you can blend into that. You can make it as efficient as possible. for you. I mean, because I have to find this out. You brought in 2 plays.
Yeah.
You started off in Short and Sweet. You know, the first time ever you did directing, you did acting, you balanced them out, took it all the way to the finals, got it to win the festival, and then won the Best Actress. How do you pull that off? Because that's good.
You make it sound really cool, but it's not that cool.
No, I mean, some of us have been trying.
No, I think honestly I'm just lucky because it was a perfect storm of events. If you want to talk about the Best Actress award, every single woman in that category could have won Best Actress.
Sure.
The only thing that I had that they didn't was Mario and Satya.
Okay.
So I had Mario as my co-partner, and I had Satya as my director. And every day in rehearsal was play for us. Mario is one of the most gifted actors I've ever worked with in any city. And we would just have fun, and we would throw out new ideas, and Satya would let us play, and we'd work off of each other, and we'd go way away from what the script was, and then we'd come back, and he'd sort of reel us in. And I think what we were talking about, having that collaboration process, having a director that's gives you that freedom, but then also at the end it was like, well, okay, and now you're going to end it like this. You know, that worked, that did not work, don't ever do that again. You know, there's a lot of that happening, and I think what Carine said at the beginning, like the only, like that award should have been given to Mario and Satya, because Mario made me look good and Satya made me look good, and I just got to play with them.
So basically what I get from that is if you have the right team and the right script, you can basically win everything.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
It's the same with Raw. Like, we didn't know Raw was, and there were time like semis, we didn't advance.
We got, like by the skin of our teeth we advanced because someone else got first in both categories. But it was Ahmed, and it was Yassine, and it was the script.
It was the story.
It was the story. It was like, you know, that's not Lydia. I can't put my stamp on that and say that I did that. That was the collaboration of teamwork.
That's very nice. Very few people would admit that.
that.
they would not give the due credit around. Apoorva, for you, again, I'll keep going back to this. You did 5 productions and Short and Sweet. Where do you draw your inspiration to keep going?
Inspiration's a very, very difficult question, and I don't have an answer to that.
Don't have an answer to that.
It just, the stage just pulls you, yeah.
You just
keep
going.
something inside.
You just
Yeah,
keep coming
it's
back,
something-
you just keep coming back. And I think it's an addiction, you know. Once
Yes.
you're in addiction,
Yeah,
you just
yeah.
want to do it.
Yeah.
Just want to do it. It's like making a tattoo. I have some 30 tattoos all over. So it's exactly like that. Yeah.
Wow.
One tattoo and you don't stop.
Yeah.
One character, you
don't
stop.
stop.
Yeah. I
You
think
keep
that's where I
searching
think
for
we all get
Yes,
motivated by that,
absolutely,
right?
yeah. So it's like this with tattoos.
Yeah.
I don't want to have scars.
I don't have an addiction.
Oh,
But I get what you mean about having an addiction to theater. I mean, there's that moment, I think you were talking about it, about Priyanka was talking about how you sort of transcend into this character, and then you don't remember what happened, but you just remember that magic happened on stage.
Yeah.
And there's that, and what I can't explain the feeling that comes with that. I just know it's euphoric, and I've got to have it again.
Yes.
You know,
Exactly.
and I work and
There
I
you
work
go.
and I
There you
work
go.
until I get that again. It's a
I
drug.
love that.
Do you feel that way when you forget your lines?
I think it's even better. I think it's even better when you forget your lines. You know why? Because sometimes you can go on autopilot and you're just saying, but then you forget your lines. You're like, and you've got to save each other. Your partner has to come in.
Yeah.
You
It's a
have to
different rush.
It's a different rush. It's like how, and everything is present and in the moment. And I think the audience loves it. I mean, they're like, oh my gosh, something's real happening. And maybe they know you forgot your line. Maybe they don't know, but something's real. You know, like what? Oh gosh, well, Mario made me laugh on stage during the final, I believe.
Oh,
and perfect timing. And I laughed because he made me laugh. I'm not going to hide my laugh. You know, and just make it fun. And I think someone came, I think it was Nikhil, came up and he's like, that laugh was so organic. It was beautiful, it was such a great moment. I'm like, that's because Mario made me laugh. Yeah, I totally broke character. But that's the thing, like that's the beauty of it. You know, you just allow it to.
Yeah. On the day we recorded Dinner with Friends was the day I forgot my lines.
I cried like anything backstage. I was like, because we were recording. Because we were recording, not because of the audience. You know, it was not about the audience. It was about capturing the best and most perfect moment, and I ruined it.
You know, honestly, nobody noticed.
No,
we
they didn't.
We knew, but it was seamless. Like you were just crying. You were very into having a moment.
Yeah.
And we felt each other. Continued. Like it was seamless.
How important is it for an actor to know how to improvise, you know, and how to get out of this state, you
If
know?
you're an actor, you must know how to
Especially
improvise.
theater.
Again, I think it's part of the magic. Like it's not something you learn. It just
happens.
happens.
Yes.
You know the story. You've trained for this. You know?
Yes.
So when the moment comes, it's just.
Priyanka, that's right. Trained actors. I believe that's the key. You know, it's those who are trained who can get out of situations
But
like
you know,
this.
acting is the only profession where we don't practice. What?
Yeah.
You don't practice.
Not
Your
rehearse,
practice is when you do a play.
Yeah.
That's your practice.
Like a real,
You
the real
don't.
deal.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I'm sorry. I really like
No, no,
it. But I think that as an actor, what we were talking about, pulling our experiences and our trauma, what we do in our lives informs our art.
Sure.
And so
Sure.
what my teacher would say was like, if you have a chance to go live in Japan and, you know, travel the world for a year or be in a Broadway play, go travel the world. You can always come back to Broadway. And the experiences that life gives you, even the mundane, even in the middle of quarantine, in lockdown, and my kids have woken me up at 5:30 a.m. and again, sometime in my future, I am going to have a moment.
Use that.
And I'm going to use that.
Yes.
You know?
On that note, I would like to leave you with the story. Yeah. So, last year sometime, I was out with a few actors, as in male actors and directors, and we were all seated at a table having some drinks and whatever. The question that was raised by one of the actors was, "Oh, who here, which man here, would direct an all-female ensemble cast?" Like it's a thing that is not possible. Like it's a thing that's not possible.
This was last week.
No, this was a few while. It was a while back. Okay. So, my takeaway from that is that people are afraid, or people steer away, for whatever reason it may be, whether women don't pull more audience as much as men, or whatever it is. I don't really know, but I wish from just this particular conversation of like-minded people who know so much about art and theater, we can take away that we don't need to stay away from that. We don't need to be afraid of an all-female ensemble cast. We can be gender fluid, we can be diverse, and we can create all sorts of art. So I would just like to say thank you so much for joining me today. It was fantastic having you.
Thank you.
And thank you so much. Thank you guys for joining us on the second episode of the Actresses Roundtable with the Junction. Next week we'll have the Actors Roundtable and our host would be Ziad Bangara. Please do wait and watch for that, and thank you for joining us.